Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about some hospitality industry, healthcare industry, food industry, regular home life, hotels and restaurant businesses related topic wherein I have seen multiple vendor videos online of vendors who do certain kind of hotel operations or street vendor operations, as well as in my own personal life in India and in US. I have eaten foods outside in restaurants and hotels, and in when traveling, stayed in bed and breakfast inns or homestays or uh, hotels where the way in which food is handled by most properties is something I think needs addressing currently globally, because there are multiple places where the food industry and even how people do food handling in their homes is greatly misaligned currently with good health safety, good health and hygiene conditions. So I don't want to reference a video, but I saw a video of a hotel in Asian country where the hotel owners seem to have no customers, and their hotel layout of how they had placed the chairs and tables, it was a very neat and clean facility. All the tables and floors and everything was very neat and tidy, but the hotels uh, did have trash cans at each table. So if they had, for example, 10 tables or seating 4 people each in each of those tables, then near the foot of the tables there were trash cans. So now they place trash cans like this in the foot of the tables for efficiency purposes, because then efficiently they can clean up the table every time a customer leaves. But what they don't realize is that this is the same reason why they might not get enough customers, because it's a little bit unhygienic to have open trash cans or any trash cans near your food table. So most business practices, if you have gone and eaten in hotels and restaurants, you will see if they have a trash can, it is always kept a little bit away from the eating area. Now even if they don't do, if it is a small business practice like a in between place which is not exactly a hotel but neither is it a street vendor, because we have such kind of places in India, even there it is a more health safe practice or hygienic practice if you move away your trash cans a little bit away from where the food preparation and cooking and serving is being done. For food preparation area, obviously there should be a particular trash can for collecting all the cleaning related food particulate matter. But the when once you're done eating, if you're throwing away a paper plate or throwing away a bottle of water or tissue papers after wiping your hands, all of those trash should go into a different bin, and ideally in two different bins if it is a plastic waste and a paper waste. So or organic waste and plastic and other inorganic matter waste. So this way, if you keep it away from where the people are eating, customers are eating, you maintain a better hygienic and health safe conditions for your customers. So that will not throw away your customers if a customer is very particular about the hygiene of your place. Secondly, most people don't realize it, but during the summer time it is better if people don't consume a lot of meat products, because meat products tend to go stale in tropical countries in the summer time or any other weather condition time in any country of the globe, where if global warming has started happening and you get sudden hot weather conditions in your area, you need to start realizing that if you're getting a heat wave in your area or it's summer time, that your consumption from your customers of the meat products ideally should be reducing, because meat gets spoiled very much easily during summertime. And while in countries like India we have the process of spicing up our meat a lot, the spices are good if the meat was originally good quality, and if that meat after being good quality, the spice has a limit to which the spice will be able to work on it. But currently, if you have watched some of my previous videos related to earth pollution, I'll reiterate again, it's related to those topics. If our food is being mass produced by any farmer or gardener or any hotel chain for their mass consumption purposes, at the time when mass production of food happens, and if fast production of food is happening rather than the natural, balanced, aligned, health aligned ways of food production and food raising conditions, then what starts happening is, even if you produce 10 grams of some product, 100 grams of some product, some vegetable or fruit that you grow, the nutritional content has gone down over time, because the healthy soil is not present, fertile soil is not present, clean earth is not present, clean water and air conditions are not present, clean access to sunlight might not be present in certain gardens, all of which means the food that you're producing, even if it looks superficially like a good quality food, internally the nutritional content or microbial and chemical content in those foods are usually high. And then after mass producing such foods, when you have mass production of even animal produce, then the animal also that has been fed these mass produced foods also ends up having poor health. So the quality of if a human is getting cancer and other poor health conditions due to earth pollution, do you think an animal is safe? An animal is also getting multiple diseases because of human led activities. Likewise, all our plants, fishes, birds, any kind of thing that we use for consumption for our nutrition and health, all those foods are also getting likewise contaminated. It's just that because humans are more self-aware, more conscious, more verbal, and more human health related research work gets done globally, because of which the conditions that cause human health harm gets detected a little bit sooner than the conditions that cause animal harm or plant harm. Like, it's the same reason why bird flu exists. While bird flu might have existed for 10-20 years in animals and poultry, when it transferred from bird to poultry to humans, it likely took a period of 10 years, 5 years, some period of years for it to transmit into humans. But how did it get transmitted into humans? It got transmitted because while the animals and plants were getting sick, well, they consumed something that was causing health harm, which led to a viral infection in them. Humans who were taking care of those animals, because they're doing it in a mass scale, they're not observing deeply when an animal is getting sick or a bird is getting sick. And when an animal and bird, when you're not doing mindfulness related practice, that's why accidentally I said seek, because this is seek means lesson. So this is a life lesson people have to learn about mindfulness related to their work. But anytime mass production of something is happening and the focus of any business or any worker is just to do their business real quickly and gain maximum profits without understanding the deeper reason for their business's existence, or the deeper reasons why the business not only has to exist as at the overarching purpose, but even the intricate nitty-gritty details of its business operations related purposes, then you get misaligned with having a good healthy business. It doesn't matter if you're showing some profit, but the overarching goal of that business is not being met if you are not understanding how to do health safe business, especially in the food industry, hospitality industry, hospitals that serve food to their patients and customers, any other industry, or in our regular home life where food and drinks are involved in daily consumption. It's a basic human need people are serving. And if in that basic human need you are not serving quality food, health safe food, health aligned food, balanced food, nutritious food, in general most people are misaligned with their life purpose. Now at that time also, if you when you are a poor vendor, it might be okay if you buy some cheap in order to keep your cost of your food low, if you buy some cheap quality ingredients. But it is not okay for if you're not a street vendor, if you are doing lakhs of business, especially in a country like India. Let's say you are doing monthly lakhs of business profits, showing lakhs of profits, crores of profit or more than that. If you are that rich, even because in India just doing simply a couple of lakhs of profit can be a good profit in a moderate scale city, and in a larger city maybe 10-20 lakhs of profit might be a good profit scale for a business. But even then, like, and I'm saying profit because after cutting off the cost of electricity and fuel and raw material and paying for all your employees and all these other things that are ancillary costs of running a business, after that what your business has ends up holding. And if per person, whoever is business owner, if there are 3 owners, if each owner has at least a profit of 20 lakhs, for a country like India 20 lakhs is a good enough profit in the current scenario. Though those people might still think I'm not as rich as a millionaire, but you are still more rich than someone who is a daily wage worker or someone who is a small business street vendor who makes only 1 lakh profit, right? So if you are that 20, 30, 40 lakh doing a lakhpati or a crorepati or even richer than that and operating a large scale business with a lot of profits, at that time the reason why you have profits most people don't understand. Most people think profits are simply for their ego boost or understanding that they have made it rich in life. But that is not the higher purpose of having any profits in any business. The higher purpose of the profits is how you use the profits later on for the future direction of the business. And it also doesn't mean that simply you become an investor and whatever extra profits you have some or after all your daily home expenses, you put it away in some stocks and bonds and other things or other investments. That is also not the higher purpose. That could be an ancillary purpose of your financial goals. But the real higher purpose of any human's existence on earth is when you have a significant extra chunk of money in your bank account that is not needed by you for your any daily need, and after maybe you have planned a little for your future, like all of us having had ancestry of poverty in our life. Even if our current ancestry may not be poor, most of us have had some ancestor in our past who might have been really poor or oppressed or underprivileged. So if we have had those ancestral background in our ancestral history, all of us has this ancestral wound of not having a little bit hesitation of spending money, which is also a wise thing to do. You don't have to overspend your money, but you have to still value your money that you hold in your bank or have access to at the right level. And the right level to value the money you have access to is to understand that the reason why you have been privileged to be in the top, let's say 100 of the business people of your city is because you have a higher purpose associated with having that extra money in your bank. One purpose is, of course, it shows that you are clever enough, you have savvy business practices. That could be one purpose, but that is not the overarching purpose. The overarching purpose is in understanding how to make your business safer and evolved according to the earthly time at which your business is existing. So business 100 years back, if it charged me a certain amount of money, why was it charging me a certain amount of money for a certain food that right right now after 100 years later costs 10 times, 100 times, 200 times more than what it used to cost 100 years back, right? Why is the food appropriately charged so much higher, or should be charged appropriately so much higher? Because you have to meet the inflation goals according to the time of earthly life where you are existing. But other than just meeting the inflation goals, should you also understand that when you have access to a lot of money, you should pay your workers good money. So like, let's say you were only, when you were a small street vendor or a small side cafe where partial street cafe where people stand and eat, but it's still not exactly a street vendor area. In such areas, when you are selling some food and you're making, when you used to make 2-3 lakhs profit and it was barely a break even business, at that time if you didn't pay your employees good salary, it is understandable because you're just barely setting up your business. But after having set up the business and you have had that business for, let's say, 5-10 years, and you're showing high amounts of profit, is it just the business owner who should be having access to this high amount of profit, or should you also start redistributing that profit to some of your all of your employees who are doing a good job, by giving them a bonus, by giving them festival bonus, by giving them also a higher salary? So like, if your business salary that a owner is getting, their earnings, if their earning and profits have increased from 2 lakhs to 20 lakhs, no one is telling you to give them 10 times salary, but at least give them 5 times salary, or 4 times or 2 times more salary than what they were getting. At least give them that salary that will meet their living conditions of staying in a particular city. Because most of those people who are working for you, they barely have any money, and some of them also come from other poorer cities and villages, so they have to send money back home, so they are living in really poverty stricken conditions. And the reason why this is important is this business operation of ensuring that your employees are getting adequate good living wage salary is so that we don't repeat the same mistake that has happened in past history, when industrialization was going on in Europe and when plagues and epidemics happened in Europe. Because the reason why, and not just Europe but globally, epidemics had happened because people were exploiting humans, not giving them the right wage according to the economic prosperity of the owners. And that is when only plagues end up striking. Your prosperity level should determine what you are paying to your workers, and your prosperity level also should determine that workers start saying no also. Like, let's say you have a factory where you have job only for 100 people, but 200 people are getting attracted to your city to look for job. At that time only 100 can do work in the factory, right? But instead, if you hire all the 200 and give them half the wage of the 100 people who could work there, you are not giving them a sustainable living condition there. Secondly, those other 100 people who had got attracted, maybe they were supposed to do street cleaning jobs, maybe they were supposed to do farming jobs, gardening jobs, stitching jobs, other jobs, other ancillary jobs related to a population development in a particular city. But you didn't effectively redistribute what needs to be done. And that is your role. If you are the boss of an area and you have been given the privilege to have large scale people work under you, your job is not simply to give them a profession, but your job is also to ensure that the profession you're given is run in the right balanced health supportive ways for the employees. Right health supportive conditions are also present in your employees life after they leave your work, and that right health supportive conditions are necessary, because if your employees die of, like how they died in epidemics and now people are dying of pandemic, is because you are supposed to increase your level of spending. And if you're not increasing your level of spending according to your level of earning and accumulation of wealth, you are misaligned with your higher purpose of being a privileged person. So this thing people have to understand. And secondly, the other thing people have to understand, this is one part of those people who are the top, let's say 50% of businessmen of a particular city. But what about the bottom 50% of the businessmen? They have to understand what are they doing wrong in their business practices that is misaligned for their greater business roles. So while again, if a street vendor initially, when he was only selling, let's say 100 samosas a day, at that time, if that snack that he's selling every day required him, just because he's building up a business and he doesn't have maybe loans or enough access to money, whatever money he had, he used it, and he bought some cheap ingredients to do his initial 1-2 year of work. But again, if he has accumulated enough for him to show some good profits, or if he started to observe that in certain seasons his customers are not coming to his shop for sales, at that time he has to realize, why is his customer not coming to his shop for sales? So one thing which is very obvious is, in the rainy season in India, all the street vendors, I'm sure, get little less access to customers. So at that time you need to realize, do I, if you are like a very essential service like a vegetable vendor or a fruit juice seller or a flower seller, you may, or a fruit seller, you may still have customers, regular customers. But if you are a snack food seller, because snack food is something people usually just have on the go while they're really hungry, or they love the cooking that you do, that's why they have it, whatever is the reason, in the rainy season, if they see that after eating your snack food their stomach is getting upset, people will avoid eating. So if you are your product seller, you should also consume your product, but also realize that if you are consistently staying sick, or if you're losing customers during the rainy season, why are you losing customers? And also at that time realize, is this the time when maybe I can close my business, go home? Like if you are a vendor who lives in came from a different village, why not close your business, or give someone a temporary charge of your business if you have a friend or someone, and go for 3 months of holiday or 2 months of holiday, and let that person sell for a few months to just learn. Like, you know how big businesses have internships, you can do an internship like thing, like have a assistant do this job for a couple of months with you while you go for a vacation, or you decide to close your business completely for the rainy season time, and for the 2-3 months that it is raining heavily in your city, go back to your village and just enjoy some life with your family in the village. You can start doing that. Or if you do not have family in the village, all your family is indeed in the city, at that time, why not, if you are seeing that earlier instead of selling 100 samosas, now you're only selling 80 samosas, then only make 80 samosas, don't make the 100 samosas. Also realize, if it is like the chutney, that is the sauce and the liquid things that you're giving with the samosa, that is causing people to have upset stomach, realize that they need cleaner water, and cleaner water has to be used in your preparation of the chutneys, which is why your customers have now reduced during the rainy season time, or during any time of earth when water pollution is high. And water pollution currently, earlier the rainy season was the peak season where people used to get stomach flu and stomach problems from consuming microbially contaminated water. But nowadays it's not the microbial contamination in the water which is the challenge, which it is harder to explain to a street vendor, but this education needs to happen, especially to the governments of a area, because it is the government that decides how clean the policies of a city are going to be. It is the governments as well as normal humans, who are the richer humans, who are the more educated humans, whose responsibility it is to understand the value of why clean water is absolutely necessary for the poorest humans on earth, or even the stray cats and stray animals that people sometimes feed in their cities. For them, if you do not have even basic good clean water supply accessible for their work and for their needs, then it has a greater impact on the poorer segment of the population. And how does water get polluted? Like I said in my previous videos, water pollution right now is not simply bacterial contamination. It can be flu contamination, viral contamination. It can also be, and these are the two common things people think if people get sick from any food poisoning, that these are the reasons why people are getting sick. But the real reason sometimes is not the virus or bacteria in the food, or along with the bacteria and virus, major culprit sometimes can also be the local chemical contaminations of that area. So if a municipality is spraying during rainy season regularly mosquito repellent sprays, or normal humans are only spraying mosquito repellents, increased mosquito repellent use is happening in the homes of that area. What is happening is, while the mosquito repellent gets dispersed in the air, it doesn't get disappeared from the air. It lands on your skin, lands on your clothes, lands on your bed sheets, and then from there, when you're washing your clothes, washing yourself, it goes in your local water supply. And if you are using underground, if the street vendors have access to underground water supply as their source of water, that underground water supply will be heavily contaminated with whatever chemicals were being predominantly used in that area. In rainy season, it might be mosquito repellents of different kinds, or insecticides and pesticides of different kinds. But in summer season or during the planting seasons, just before summer and just before winter, you will see we have these October heat phases in India, and just before summer, in the April-May time also, we get a heat wave in India. When we get these heat waves in March to April times, or in October time, that is the time when plantation is going on. And during plantation seasons also, lots of chemicals are being used in our farming and gardening practices, because of which those are also actually global warming increasing chemicals. Because look at it very simply and clearly, this is how I see it very clearly, and I had this problem personally as a health issue. That's why I understand it even more deeper, even though maybe research work on this hasn't yet been done, I don't know. But when I have pesticide poisoning going on, what happens to me? Even if it is mild level of pesticide exposure causing some chronic pesticide poisoning problem from regular pesticide use in my area, I will sweat a lot. And I have observed this observationally in the October heat time, and in the just before summer time, when you are walking on the streets and high level of pesticides are there in the air, it causes humans to sweat a lot, because that pesticide is toxic to our health. So when it's toxic to our health, our body wants to eliminate it, and the best way to eliminate it is increase the heat. When the heat increases, my body will try to sweat, and when the sweat increases, if the pesticide is water soluble, it will come out with the sweat, because it's water soluble pesticide. If the pesticide is also water soluble, you will also not only get increased sweating, you might also get red eyes and watery eyes. You will also get increased urination, if depending on how much of your pesticide exposure level is. If it's just simply via inhalational and skin exposure from the area in which you are living, where enough pesticides are there in the atmosphere, then and even if no farming is going on in your city, but there is a farm area 2 hours also away from your city, air doesn't just stay in the area in which the pesticide was sprayed. Air will have its own air currents, and from the air currents, it will eventually, if the flow to your area eventually some of the pesticides. And those pesticides that have flown into your area via the air currents of that area, they are all going to impact your health. So that's why it is necessary that with food vendor practices, hotel practices, any business practices where your doors are open, and if municipality is doing pest control or you are yourself doing pest control, people need to start understanding how harmful pest control practices are currently on earth. And in food industry, the best way to solve the pest control problem is not to use the chemically normalized pesticide uses, but to keep your facility absolutely spick and span clean, such that no smaller ingredients and food particles are lying around. Second way is, if you have a dog or a cat around in that area, they will also eat away scraps of food sometimes, so you can give access to some become a owner of a pet who is going to eat away some of the scraps that are falling on the floor. But the best way is simply to keep the whole facility clean via just using normal warm hot water for wiping the tables and the floors, and using if you want slightly more sanitation, use diluted bleach water or vinegar water, because these are, and in vinegar also be sure that it's good clean vinegar and not because I have found all sorts of crappy vinegar in the market too in recent years. But if you use just hot boiling water to clean your floors, or hot boiling water dipped warm clothes to wipe your tables and floors, that's enough sanitary condition to keep your facility clean. And a little bit of bleach water wiping will be a good sanitizing condition as well. But because all of these will not make your facility overtly toxically chemically ridden, and as a result, if your water supply for your facility is coming from underground water supply, or even if it is not coming from underground water supply, if it is even coming from the municipality, but even if municipality is supplying the water, our underground water levels are consistently going to be polluted by what? Under the earth, we don't see it visibly, but there are water tables in pockets of our city life. So in those water tables, there is always going to be if higher chemicals are used in a particular city or village, that whatever number of chemicals are being used, types of chemicals are being used there, they are all accumulating underneath the in the soil and in the water table. And if your pipelines are running through now all those soil and table areas, what is happening now? If the soil has accumulated enough toxins, and if a little bit of microfracture is present in your pipelines, though that microfracture will cause whatever chemical is there in the soil, whatever chemical is there in the water, to enter your pipelines and then enter your water supply. So, and the greater the toxin usage on earth, greater is the unclean earth available to us, and then higher is the chance of diseases related to those chemical exposures. And in the summer time, or during the time when higher spraying is going on about raising plants using chemicals, at that time when greater degree of chemicals are there underneath on earth, what is happening is, in the summertime, water table levels are drying up, right? So if your underground water supply had 1 liter water, now it may have only 500 ml water during summertime, so the concentration of the chemical doubles up. So even if while using 1 liter water, maybe your body has got used to that polluted water and is not feeling sick while consuming the food cooked with that water, but when the levels are half now in the summertime, and then at that time you are getting double the dose of the chemicals, and when you're getting double the dose of the chemicals, your body at that time starts sweating, starts vomiting, starts showing all the symptoms of pesticide poisoning if it is a pesticide laced water problem. But is pesticide the only chemical contamination that is prevalent on earth? No. Medications can also contaminate your water. Any other daily use chemicals that we use for cleaning our homes, keeping ourselves hygiene conscious people spray so many perfumes and use cosmetic products, all of the chemicals in all of our daily life usages, each of them combined have a combination cocktail of reasons that can be accumulating inside the water supply of your area, and then overall causing a chemical interaction, drug interaction, drug chemical interaction, leading to multiple levels of body toxicity and other different kinds of organ damage related diseases and different organ system related diseases that are cropping up inside of us, where good healthy sanitary hospitality industry, food industry practices as well as home practices are not being followed. So when we want to shift our earth to a better, cleaner earth and a healthier earth, the primary way to shift it to a cleaner earth and healthier earth lies in the least number of usages of chemicals in our daily lives. If earlier we used to use 10 chemicals, 5 for cleaning my home, 5 for in the 2 3 for cleaning in the kitchen, 2 3 for cleaning in the bathroom, and 2 3 toiletry products, like that, 10 to 15 products you're using daily in your life. If you have slowly started realizing you're getting allergies or other different symptoms I've mentioned in some of my videos, or do your own research what kind of health issues can crop up when you are exposed to pesticides or exposed to other chemicals that you're using regularly, you will see that if those symptoms are happening with you, it is time that you have to wake up and realize how to reduce using those products. You can't stop doing the reduction of product usage in one day. I didn't do it in one day. My body slowly taught me how to and I also taught myself how to slowly eliminate exposures to microbes as well as exposures to chemicals. That's how I am greatly attuned to understanding also when my health issue is coming from a particular microbe or coming from a particular group of microbes. Like I can tell when it's a fungal infection, when it's a microbial infection, when it's a parasite infection, when it's a chemical contamination leading to a health issue for me. And one of the main ways I can tell is because my skin immediately can show some reaction when it is a chemical exposure. But for microbial exposures, it's not my skin that is telling me, it is other symptoms related to stomach upset and heart problems and other problems telling me. But sometimes it's also the strong smell of the contamination in the water or air supply or food supply that leads me to understand when some kind of contamination is going on in a particular food that I am consuming. Not always I can tell, but many a times when I have good enough health, I am able to tell when contamination is present in our products. And currently globally, I have had skin problems and health issues related to water pollution when I was living in US 20 years back also, and I have had those problems as a child also from food related contaminations, and as a child in India and as an adult in India again I have experienced not just food pollution, but now because 30 years have passed since my childhood days, now the added pollution is not simply from the food but it's also from the water. And earlier in the food problems were related to chemicals in the food, but now it's chemicals or microbes in certain foods, but now it's not simply certain group of foods having these problems. Many foods have these problems currently on earth. And if the food industry wants to wake up, any industry that is operating and providing human service and human meeting basic human needs, everyone has to wake up slowly to better evolved business practices. And most businesses have, if you are in the top 50th percentile of business operations, you have to understand that if you are getting bad products, crappy products, you have to start throwing those products, rejecting those products, asking your farmers and vendors to supply you with better quality products, and also slowly teaching. Like if there is a poor vendor, like one time I saw in my local store that there was this elderly couple. They came from the village carrying a lot of potatoes or onions or both possibly, but that vendor didn't take their product because it was low quality. Like the shop didn't take their product, they said it was low quality, so they rejected that product. Now that person now is sad that his product didn't get sold, and I felt bad also for them. But if it is really that bad quality, the person who is producing those products also need to start realizing that You can't simply continue farming with and raising bad quality products. Someone in their village has to teach them how to raise better quality farming products now, and better, more health aligned farming quality products for this phase of earthly existence. You can't follow some practice that was okay for you to follow 10 years back, 20 years back, 40 years back. I also saw some other stories in the newspaper articles where another vendor, same thing, he didn't go to a store to sell his product, but that person had gone to the market to sell his product, and again his product got rejected, and again he felt so sad that his product got rejected. He just dumped his product and left it and went home because he couldn't carry that load, right? Where will he sell that product? So I understand the pain of these farmers who are not being able to sell their poor quality product. So when a farmer is seeing that the quality of their product is getting rejected, when it starts getting rejected in the beginning stages of your farming activities, at that time you need to realize this. Farming cooperatives also possibly need to start happening more in our country, because if you are existing as a part of a cooperative, then better farming practices can be inculcated as a cooperative. And there are other things people have to realize. I don't know why I'm crying. But essentially, while I understand that saying no can lead to some businesses to fail greatly, but sometimes people have to also realize that failure is necessary in life for you to do a better way of living, more health aligned way of living. Because if that farmer whose product got rejected, while that day he will not have a good food in his home, or may not be able to pay off his loans, or some problems might arise in his home life, that farmer also has to realize that in the long run, if he does the right practices by understanding that poor quality product, he shouldn't bring only all the way 2-3 hours away into the city. If his product is getting rejected at the village scale itself, don't go and try to sell. Understand why your product was rejected in the village itself. And if you do not have better business practices there, or like let's say you are a farmer who has done farming for 40 years and you are getting elderly now, and your sons, and you don't have children, or maybe your children do not want to do farming, at that time realize to give your farming activities to someone who is really interested in doing better quality farming and good quality farming. So start hiring help. Like, there are so many humans who currently exist on earth thinking that they have to fight their life struggles on their own, but I have realized this from my own life problems, that you do not have to fight your life struggles on your own. There are now 3 paths that can emerge for you when you are struggling with a issue. If you're struggling first with a local issue where your food is getting rejected by hotels, restaurants, or wherever you used to sell it earlier, first start understanding what is going wrong with your food. So that is the farmer's job, because farmer's karma is not simply that I give 100 kgs of potatoes to someone. If that is all you have learned in the 40 years of being a farmer, still in the next few years of your life, if you are meant to live a long life, you have to learn why simply giving 100 kgs of potatoes is not enough anymore. It has to be 100 kgs of quality potatoes. It has to be potatoes not laced with chemicals and other ingredients. And why are his potatoes also getting rotten in the 4-5 hours or 10 hours of travel that farmer did? Because if, let's say, you have put some chemicals in your soil or on your product to ripen the product sooner. Now what is happening is, the same chemical that can ripen a baby potato into a larger potato will also cause a larger potato to get rotten into a wrinkled up and become rotten sooner. So if you fasten the growing up process, you're also fastening the rotting up process of that plant product that you are trying to sell. That's why also it is very necessary that you do not hastily ripen your products. Let the potatoes grow the length of time it is meant to grow, and then when you are traveling from the village to the city to sell it, that is the right amount of time for a underripe potato or underripe apple to become ripe at the right levels for it to be sold then in the market. Whereas if you are spraying your products, apples, mangoes and other products with your chemicals, and this is something people have to understand in this month, because this is the month when in India planting again activities will has again begun. So if you have been doing a little bit late planting activities, realize that the reason why you are doing the late planting activities is because this year, please, from this year onwards, if you've not realized this by now, start realizing that some normalized practices from the past cannot be done in the present. It is harmful for your health as well as the people who will consume your products, their health. So, and that old person that I saw, he's aged now, maybe he's only in his 50s, but he looked like a 60 or 70-year-old. Why? Because again, that same chemical you're using to ripening your potatoes and other vegetables is the same thing that is also aging you as well. You're not understanding it, but it adds to every degree of chemicals you add to whatever farming or gardening activities you are doing. Each level of that chemical adds to your own health harm, which initially will not show up in the initial few years you use those products, but eventually it will show up in your overall health status the longer number of years you have been exposed to these chemicals. Same way what is happening to a farmer and gardener with these products, same is true with if you are working in a hotel industry and you are the cook of that industry or the vendor for that industry. The vendor who is touching all these products, the person who is carrying all these products, for them also the health harm is prevalent when they are touching these chemically sprayed products. And from them, when the cook is cooking, if it is a cook in your home, it is a cook in your restaurant life, whoever is doing the cooking activity, if you are a mindful cook, you will wash these carefully, and the more mindful and careful a worker, the higher the chances of the mindful careful worker to become sick from the longer exposures to the chemicals. The one who will hurriedly cook, what they are doing, their hurried cooking will result in less exposure to the chemicals, or like hurriedly peeling it off, not washing it carefully. All these things will cause them to have less exposure of the chemicals. But the chemicals that they didn't wash off from the food, didn't soak in the food, didn't mindfully clean from the food, chemicals, microbes, whatever they didn't mindfully clean off, that now gets transported in your water, in your cooking. So the person who's going to eat your food is going to get sicker then. So it depends, like if you are more mindful, you will get sick. If you are less mindful, your customers will get sick. But without mindfulness, if you continue doing your work, overall you are going to cause your business to fail. Does that make sense? Because that mindfulness is necessary. And in foreign countries, yes, chefs use gloves for cooking, or high-end restaurant chefs use gloves for cooking purposes, but gloves are not the solution. The real solution is not gloves. Real solution is minimizing the amounts of chemicals you use in your cooking and cleaning activities in the kitchen before cooking as well as post cooking. The number of chemical usage, if the most mildest form of chemicals you can use, or most organic chemicals you can use that are like health aligned chemicals, chemicals arising from bioproducts that you're using, and real chemicals, not those which are. Another problem currently is when people have gone into sustainable venture, organic ventures, bioproduct based ventures for cleaning. Now those bio cleaning products also have problem with extra scents and other problems. So while majority of the product is biologically possibly safe for use, even that 1% 2% of additives you have added makes it again health unsafe for consumer purposes. So these things people have to start reflecting, focusing, working on, shifting slowly over time. And any business that is currently, selling mass scale all these goods has to understand that the downturn phase has started happening in this century, and that downturn phase of their products which are not health aligned anymore with humanity's future benefit will continue, because they are meant to shift their business practices into something different currently. So if there's a whole arm of your business having some losses, there's a purpose to it. If there is not a whole arm having losses but slow returns have started happening, there's a purpose to it. You have to identify the higher purpose, accept that loss, and then redirect your business or shift your business according to what needs shifting at a minor scale to a grander scale of your business operations and business practices. I hope this was insightful, and if anyone has any questions, please drop a comment. I would love to answer or read your comments on these topics. Thank you very much. Have a great day.